Hello guys, my name is Anozie Ijizie, also known as AI Gideon. So today I'm going to be teaching a class about money. I know it sounds funny because we spend money every day. You would think everybody should know what they need to know about money, but if you if you have an idea or if you know or already heard about what I'm about to say, then good for you, right? Um, but I'm just giving this class for those who need to understand a little bit more, um, about money, right? And some things that play a key role, in this whole money business. Um, okay, so I'm not going to waste any time, at least now, right? I'm still starting this whole YouTube thing, and I see y'all's feedback. I hear the feedback. Everyone's like, make these videos shorter, But we live in a society where we're beginning to lack substance, right? So I'm starting this off like an action movie where you just get all the the substance, like boom, 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 and you know then you get excited, right? So very similar. I'm not going to bore you with, oh, please like and share and all that stuff. I mean, if you want to, I definitely love for you to do that. But I'm just going to jump straight into business, and you know, what let's see what we can understand today. All right. Okay. So basically, um, as we all know, what led about the use of money is during the early days, right? I would say like ancient times. It used to be people had goods and services, and it you would give me your yam, and say for instance, I have yam, right? You give me your yam, and I give you my eggs, right? And then we just cancel out, right? But then that's not exactly a fair system because my yam is bigger than egg, right? So maybe how do we know that? How do we calculate whether or not for my one yam, how much eggs do I need, right? So this led to the invention of money, right? So money. So with money as any that comes in between, right? It helps us to equate everything, right? So now we have a little bit of an issue here. Is um, here's what's important, right? The exchange of goods and services, right? Now I'm saying yam and egg; these are goods, right? But sometimes you have services as well, like maybe someone who's going to braid your hair or cut your hair or other services like that, right? So in an exchange for these goods and services, we need money. So in order for us to have the right value of money, right? This is my theory, right? Exchange of goods and services should equal to the amount of money available. And okay, I don't expect that to make sense to a lot of people, but I'll explain. So, for instance, so exchange of goods should equal money available. Okay. So basically, what this is, what we're trying to understand here is this, right? A lot of times, and this is, people need to understand this before they say, oh, we have an inflation problem. Because if we have an increase in money available, right, and we also have an increase in goods, we have an increase in goods and services, right? So if we have an increase in goods and services, right, and we also have an increase in money available, it balances out, right? It's a bit fair. But when this stays the same and the money available goes up, then that's when we have inflation, right? So I'll give you an example. In the world, right? In the world, let's say this is the world. There is a certain amount of money that is that goes around, regardless of your currency, whether it's naira, dollars, CDs, franc, whatever it is that you're spending, there's a certain amount of money in the whole world, right? There's a certain amount, let's say the amount of money circulating in the whole world is, and this is just a random number, let's say it's $1,000 here, circulating in the whole world, right? And each country, each individual country on earth, right, has a share of this $1,000, right? But in their own several different currencies, right? Whatever currency that they use. So now, as you can see, you have, let's say we have 7 continents, right? So let's say we have 7 continents, right? 6, man. Let's say we have 7 continents, and all 7 continents are have a total amount of $1,000, right? That's called the market cap of the earth. So the global market cap in this situation would be $1,000. So global market cap, which is very important because this is one of the things that we're trying to understand here is market cap. A lot of us understand money, but when you hear this a lot of times, market cap. And what we're trying to say is basically what is your market capacity, right? And for it to make a lot of sense, sometimes what affects our market cap is if we have more players coming here, or if we have more money than players, right? So that can affect our market cap. Think about it this way. Think about it like a fish tank, right? Let's say we have a fish tank. Let's say we have a fish tank here. Let's say this is a fish tank, right? And we have 3 fishes, right? 3 fishes in this fish tank, right? And let's say this is like 2 meters long, 2 meters by 2 meters, right? And we have 3 fishes and they're doing well. Everybody's fine. Everything is okay, right? And now you introduce 3 more fishes. There's a problem because now there's not enough to go around. There's not enough to go around for everyone. Then you start having a scarcity of nutrients, a scarcity of, services being provided. Goods and services won't be able to get to everyone because this place is designed for 3 fishes, and now we have introduced 3 more fishes. So now we have 6 fishes. So let's say we were feeding these fishes. Now we have to increase how much we feed. We also have to increase how much we wash this tank. We also have to increase how much we look over this tank and make sure that all of them are safe. We also have to make sure that all 6 of them don't start a war and start fighting themselves, right? So it's important to have the right balance, right? So which is why we have market cap. So reason why I'm explaining this, part of the reasons why I'm explaining this is because when you're going to be trading, right? And I explained that in my previous video. One of the key things you need to understand is money and market cap. Because if you're looking at the profile of a company, right? And the company is telling you that to run their business, they need $2,000, right? To run their business. And now you've given them the $2,000 and all of a sudden they're saying, oh, we just expanded our business. So a lot of people look at it as a good thing, but it's not always a good thing. Because just because there's an expansion doesn't mean expansion can also lead to a liability. Because think about it now. Okay, now we have this pond, and we realize that it's getting choked in here. So then, what we choose to do instead is we then increase our tank. We increase our tank, right? Now we increase our tank. So, but the problem we're having here now is this. Maybe these fishes move all the way here, right? And then now we have all this space, right? And we still have to clean up this whole tank. We still have to fill this whole tank with water. We still have to look over. Now we have more surface area to look over. Let's say before we're looking at just here, right? 2 by 2. Now we are looking at, let's say 16 by 2, right? So now we're monitoring more. We're doing more for less fishes, right? And sometimes, even though this is the right amount of size, a lot of fishes may choose to aggregate in one area. A lot of fishes may choose to aggregate in one area. And we see that a lot of times in big cities, right? We see that in big cities. Everybody wants to be in maybe Lagos, Nigeria, or New York, or Houston. People don't want to go to the outskirts. People don't want to go to the towns. So then what happens, right? What happens there is those areas then suffer, right? And this suffering, right, costs money. It costs money. So we need to understand this, so that way we understand how we budget, how we calculate, and to avoid greed. So a lot of people, you see some businesses, and it causes volatility. You know, if your business is worth $2,000, if it takes $2,000 to run this tank, and then you have an investor comes in and decides to invest $20,000, right? $20,000. That is, you need $2,000 to run this tank, but someone just invested $20,000. That's $18,000 more that you don't need, that you still have to pay taxes on, right? And depending on the state law or whatever, the country law, that might put you at a higher tax bracket. So it's a liability. Because if with this $2,000, maybe you're required to pay 10% tax, now you have $20,000, right? You might be required to pay 20% tax instead of 10% tax here. And you're not using this money. You're just paying tax on the money. You're not using this money because all you need is $2,000. So a lot of businesses, when they see people coming in, investors coming in like this, they get greedy. And this is how we know, this is how we look at the credibility of the CEO and the members of the team, right? The startup team or the business, right, that's running the organization. Is what you want is a situation whereby the team or the CEO or the bosses, who the owner of the company, is saying, no, we have enough. We don't need any extra. When you say you have enough, all you need is 2,000, the value of these fishes goes up because everybody expects them to do so well because you have enough time and attention to take care of these fishes. You know, so sometimes when you see the market cap is growing, right? So essentially, basically, when the market cap is growing, that means the company is expanding its size. It's expanding its size, right? What it can handle, right? So it's growing, so it's getting bigger, right? To a bigger pond, right? Now, when you get this visible, right, you become a target for so many people, right? So the government wants to attack you, private individuals want to attack you, everyone wants to attack you because you're visible, you know, and there's a saying, out of sight is out of mind. So it applies here. So when a company is so big, it can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing because you have to account for everything and you have to account for them thoroughly. So what some companies do is they split, and you hear about a split or merger, right? Now, when in a struggling economy, a lot of times you see a merger sometimes, but a lot of times when you see a split, that's a very bullish news. That means they are splitting, that means things will be managed properly. Even better. So this is one company. Now we decide to divide this company into company A and company B. That is going to be managed differently by different people, right? That's a lot of times is good news because now you don't have all this space wasting here because company A has to account for all this, right? So they might have to end up taking off some fishes here and putting them here. So now you have room for growth. right? So in a nutshell, this summarizes the market cap. Now, one issue that we have in our society today, and we see it in, just in general, we see it in several countries. You have countries is, a lot of countries are printing money, right? A lot of countries are printing money now. You hear of, oh, you're printing money, and people don't understand what it means is money available is being printed, and the goods and services doesn't match the money available, which is a problem. So this problem is what has led to the development of things like stocks and cryptocurrency. Because a lot of times you look at these stocks and cryptocurrencies, right? They are capped, right? Or we like for most of them are capped. We like for them to be capped, right? Compared to the dollar or the naira or the cedis or whatever it is that the normal money that we've been using, the government can decide to print excess of them, right? But private individuals decided to make their own currencies and stocks that is tied to their own companies, right? And a lot of times you hear we're releasing more shares, right? And same thing, with money, printing money is when a company says they're releasing more shares. That's not always a good thing, because now there's more money than the services you provide. But if the company is a very active and busy company and they've been making a lot of progress and they have a lot of good news, sometimes it's still good. Everything stays good. But when the company is doing that excessively, investors start to run away, because you're telling me now that basically I need to invest more in your company for me to see any profit, right? And we all know that when they do this, a lot of times when they do this, it doesn't affect the board members, the CEO. It affects the investors and the outside community investing in that business. So if company A, for instance, let's say company A here has a total of 500 shares. So basically what that means is 500 shares, if anybody that owns all 500 shares owns this company. So when a company is listed as public, that means there is shares that will be given out. So out of these 500 shares, the CEO would have his own share, the COO will have his own share, and depending on other members of the board, right? Board members would have their share depending on how much they sell and who they want to sell to, right? So there's how they share it is up to them, up to the company, right? So now you have this thing all shared by several members of the company, and all of a sudden they say we want to, maybe here it's still a private company, right? It's still a private company here, and now they want to make it a public company, publicly invest shared company, right? That means me and anybody, anyone can choose to buy a part of these shares. A lot of times what they do is they then change this from 500 and say, okay, we're going to now turn this into 5,000 or 50,000, right? Right? So they can decide to sell one share in this company. They can decide to sell it for, let's say one share could be equals to $10, right? So anybody that has the most shares would have the most dollar value for their shares, right? So now you have So your market cap, to calculate your market cap here, it would be, if the share price is $10 and there is 50,000 shares available, it will be 50,000 times 10. Times 10, which would be 500,000. So this company is worth $500,000. So that's how we know the value of the company, right? So when the share is 50,000 share, for instance, right, and we have people buying these shares, because we're buying these shares at $10, right? A lot of times when we buy these shares, the rate at which we buy these shares, right, if there's a frenzy, remember we spoke about, my last class, I spoke about demand and supply, right? So I'm going to tie everything all up. If there's a frenzy and in the market, and let's say there was 500 shares before, and now the CEO announced that we are releasing 50,000 shares, right? And everybody is excited. Everybody thinks that this company is a very good company. Let's say this company is Tesla. I mean, they do good, right? So let's say this company is Tesla. And now everybody's rushing in to go buy this because now it's now public. So we're looking at the rate at which people are buying it. The rate at which people are buying it, I explained that is also we can also be defined as the range. How are people rushing into it? So if we had a candlestick, remember what I explained candlestick. Hopefully, if you don't understand, you can go back to my previous video and watch what my explanation on candlestick. But if the candlestick was this small before, all of a sudden it goes this much, this big. So many people are now coming in, right? Many people are coming in here to invest. So the candlestick is getting bigger and bigger, right? There's more volume, right? Because there's more people interested in this share or this stock. Sometimes we say stock, sometimes we say share. It's used interchangeably, right? So you have more people coming in here, and what we look at is how fast did it go from down here to up here, right? How fast did it change in 30 minutes? And so we're looking at the rate at which it changed, and we're looking at whether it held, right? So a lot of times when it might be up here, and by then maybe we have 50,000 shares, and now we have people already bought 30,000, right? This is breaking news. Breaking news that they released 50,000 shares today, and in 10 minutes, 30,000 shares has been bought up. People get excited. But then another thing people start to look at is who bought this 30,000 shares, right? If it's one person that bought this 30,000 shares, that might not be a good news exactly, because that means this just one person has interest. You see, so if we have 30,000 shares bought, if we have 20,000 people that bought these 30,000 shares, everybody gets excited. Now, why is it that there's so many people interested in this? Right? So those are the things that the factors we look at when we want to invest in a company, right? Because a lot of times people would list a company like this and maybe tell their brother or tell their friend or tell their family member, hey, go buy up my shares. And to create a kind of like false image, as if the value is going up, whereas it's just one person. That's called market manipulation, right? And one person is buying this, and you think, oh, people are interested in this, but yet it's just one person. So we have to be careful when we jump into invest. We also have to do what we call due diligence. We have to do our due DD. You hear this a lot. So you have to do your due diligence, and your due diligence involves looking at what the company does. Okay, this is a Tesla company. They make cars. They take Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is bullish right now. And let's say they help the poor. They feed the hungry. So many things, so many emotions. We look at, overall, what does Tesla do, right? Then the next thing we look at is there a demand for Tesla? Do people actually want this product? Because if people don't want this product, investing in it is not so wise. Because if people want the product, right, we can assume that it's just going to go up. We don't know how fast, but because people want it, it's going to go up, right? Until people don't want it anymore, it will change trajectory and start going down. But we know that people want this product. So in that case, it's safe to invest. That's the first safety. That, okay, people want this product. There's a demand for it. Then the next thing is the supply. How much is available? Because if this guy, if the CEO and the board members or whatever agreed on 50,000 shares today, and the next week we're hearing that they want to throw in another 100,000 shares. Now we have more supply than the demand. So that's not such a good news. Investors start to get angry because everybody, what they're trying to do is they are diluting your profits, because the people that are, by the time we get to, if they didn't add this extra 100,000 and we get to 50,000 and all 50,000 of these shares has been bought up, the value here from $10 might go to $100, because now we don't have any more available. So now the value here would go to $100, and this is represented on the daily charts. You can see these emotions on the daily candlesticks. You can see these emotions on the patterns that I explained in the previous videos. I'll stop here. Please like, share, and leave comments on the video. So that way I would address whatever it is that needs to be addressed if there's any questions. All right, thank you.